Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of 5 Haunting Questions. This week, my guest is Enzo, and you are all very familiar with Enzo Cyrille. So I thought it only proper that I ask Enzo my 5 haunting questions, and it gives everybody an opportunity to get to know him that little bit extra. So let's welcome him in. Hello, Enzo.
Hello.
So, Enzo, finally, I'm getting you to do my 5 haunting questions. Excellent.
Finally.
Yeah, finally. So I guess we'll start with everybody that's watching this should know who you are because you're on with me once a week. But for those of you that might be watching who don't know who you are, give us a little brief snippet of what you do, Enzo. Snippet.
I'm Enzo Cyrille, and I can be seen on other people's shows because I can't be bothered to make my own channel and make up my own content. I just mooch off of everyone else. But I hang around on various different paranormal channels covering the whole gambit of ghosts and cryptids and UFOs and everything in between. I'm a student of the old Art Bell radio show where they talked about all of these wild and different things. And that's kind of where I picked it up. I mostly lean UFO side of things. That's my main interest, but I'm interested in all of it because myself and other people are coming around to this that I think they're all related to each other somehow.
A little bit, I think. A little bit could be. So, Art Bell, is he still alive or did he die?
Oh, no. Art Bell has passed away many years ago.
Oh, rest in peace, Artie.
Yeah.
So far as my second question, which is always what draws you to the paranormal, and have you ever had an experience that's paranormal that has sort of made you think, oh, crap, could be something happening? Has anything like that ever happened to you?
Yes, and to be fair, there's always the confusion about the definition of paranormal. Paranormal encompasses all of that stuff, but for whatever reason, lately everybody thinks paranormal just means ghosts. That's not true. It's all of it. Things that can't normally be explained through science, is basically how that goes. But when I was 9 years old, living in Ashland, Kentucky, I basically saw a UFO. It was not to go. I've told the story before, so I won't go into crazy detail about it. But where my house was, where we lived, it kind of overlooked this little valley area, and there was like a big shopping center there, and you could clearly see one end of the local steel mill. Back when small American towns had steel mills in their towns. And there was this one giant building, almost like an aircraft hangar size type building in one part of the steel mill, where trains full of coal would actually go in one end to use it to fire the blast furnace and actually mix in to make the steel and all that, and then would roll out the other end. It was really big. I mean, several of these giant train cars could fit inside of this building as it passed through. And it was right around dusk, shortly after the new year. I don't remember exactly, in 1977. And I happened to casually look over there when I was outside my garage and saw this really bright white, like oval of light. Like it was like super, it was like welding bright. You almost couldn't look directly at it. And it was on top of that big building, that big hangar type building, and it was slowly moving from one end to the other. At first, I thought the building was on fire. But as I looked at it, there weren't any sirens going off. There was no fire trucks responding, nothing like that. No emergency vehicles anywhere, no sirens going off. But it was just slowly moving. I was like, and the closer I looked, and it was about the size of one of those train cars. So it was pretty big.
Wow.
And the closer I could kind of look, because it was so bright, I could see it wasn't actually on the building. It was like just slightly above the building, but again, slowly moving along its length. And my sister was in the garage messing with her bike, and it's like trying to get her attention, but something told me if I look away, it's not going to be there when I look back. So I'm like trying to get my sister's attention. It's like, come here, come here. I think it's a UFO or something. And of course, little sister's doing as they do. Ah, you're trying to trick me. What are you talking about? I was like, no, it's right there. It's like, it's really big. It's like, would you just come over here? I looked back and it was gone.
It was gone.
It's vanished. So I go to school the next day and I start asking all of my friends, because this is a very public area. There's like two main kind of like highways that go right past this. There's a river on the other side. So people on the other side, which would have been in Ohio, people should have seen this for miles.
Yep.
And so I go to school asking around. It's like, did anybody see that big light on top of the plant the other day? And which immediately turned into, you're the UFO kid now.
Yeah.
And I learned at a very early age not to share any experiences with people.
See, nowadays you could look at what was in the area at the time and possibly debunk it, or maybe it was really what you think it was. So that's pretty cool.
Because I thought maybe like maybe you just alluded to, maybe it was like a helicopter or something like that. It wouldn't have been a plane; it was way too slow. But I would have heard the blades from a helicopter from where I was, because they had helicopters in that area all the time. But anyways, I don't know what it was.
Well, at least it didn't come and abduct yourself and your sister. So that's one thing to be hopeful. Unless it's put you on a little list for later. Maybe they'll come and get you at some point later. Well, that kind of leads me. Yeah, well, you could be on the waiting list. That kind of leads me into the next one then. Because
second UFO many years later.
Was it coming back for you?
I don't think so. This was actually right here in Wichita. I live near Wichita, Kansas, but I was visiting a friend who does live right in the center of Wichita. And like most Midwestern cities, it's just this large spread of buildings and housing areas and stuff. And where he lived was like right in the center of town. We were going to go into his backyard and like smoke cigars. I think this was 1999. And I'm an astronomy nerd. I've always had a love for looking at the stars. Maybe because the last time I looked at the sky, I saw a UFO. I don't know, when I was a kid. But I was always interested in that kind of thing. And so I went outside before he did. And if it's nighttime and I'm outside, I'm looking up. I'm looking at the stars. Okay, there's that. I got my bearings now, blah, blah, blah. And I was exactly doing that. And I was kind of like looking straight up, and I saw like movement, like almost directly overhead, trying to look at it and focus, but there were no lights. There was no sound, nothing like that. But I could just sense, as dumb as that is to say, like there was something moving, but it was so dark I almost couldn't see it compared to the night sky.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first few seconds, I was like, it's just my imagination. I can't make out any details or anything. It's just a shape. And then I started looking in forward of where it looked like it was moving, and it started blocking out stars as it went past. So it was something physically there. It wasn't my imagination. It wasn't an optical illusion on a speck on my glasses or anything like that. And it continued to do that. I kind of got the impression it might have been like triangular shaped, somewhat. Except if it was, because we think like aerodynamically a triangle type shape, I'll switch to that, would look like this, and one of the points on the triangle would be moving forward as it flew through the air. What I saw seemed like one of the flat sides was moving forward as it moved through the air. I don't know what the hell that was. And in 1999, I'd already been in the Air Force for 14-ish years at that point. So I'd worked around many different aircraft. I'd traveled around the world. I've seen. I was in uh, you know, various conflicts here and there around the world by that time. So I'd seen a lot of weird things that were all terrestrially made. And I have no idea what the hell that was.
That's
You know?
interesting. It reminds me of the Borg cube on Star
Uh,
Trek.
it was, I mean, I couldn't make out. That was the other thing. It was like looking at something that was like very dark gray on a black background. You
That's
can't
weird.
exactly see it, but it was blocking stars as it went past. And
It's
I
pretty
guess
cool.
as far as other paranormal things, and I think I'd mentioned this the last time we had talked, a very minor, small scale ghost type of event when I was a senior in high school. Without getting too deep into the story, a friend of mine was dating a girl. She lived in a haunted house as an 18-year-old. I don't believe it. That's a bunch of hooey. And they were getting ready to move. They were getting ready to move out of from Kentucky to Baltimore, Maryland.
Mm.
So the movers were coming like the next day. So they were just trying to get some of the bigger stuff moved around, like all the little things packed away and the boxes pre-positioned so that when the movers showed up, they just had to pick it up, throw it in the truck, and then they'd be on their way.
Yeah. Yep.
And so they asked, could a couple of you strong senior high school boys come over there and help out moving a few heavy things for us, poor defenseless girls? Because it was mom and dad and two teen girls that lived there.
Oh,
One
well,
of
that's
which,
what you do as a woman. You bat the eyelids and say, I need
right.
help.
And, of course, being, indestructible 18-year-olds, well, of course, we'll be right there. So my friend and I would go over there. And he had already told me stories about the house. And I'd heard all about it. It was all kind of crazy and looks like a lightning storm in my video behind me, I see.
Oh,
But
it's lots of fun. Yeah.
it's rain like crazy. I saw a couple flashes. But as we go over there, I remember some of these stories they had because a lot of because it was strange because as I mentioned, it was three women and the dad in the house. All the women experienced something, stuff getting moved around. The two girls saw a full body apparition at one point. They described it as looking like a very thin, gaunt kind of guy, sort of like Charlie Chaplin is how they described him. Kind of baggy clothes, very thin, and never moving. Just like see him like standing in the basement is where they always seem to see him when they did see him. Stuff get knocked off of shelves, things sliding across the counter, things like that. A lot of those kind of stories. And when I went over there, I'm thinking about all these things, but I don't believe all that's hooey. It was a worldly wise 18-year-old. And when I get there, they're like, hey, can you go up these stairs to the attic area? There might be a couple of boxes. I don't know if anybody's moved down. If there's boxes up there, just bring them downstairs here and put them over there. Great. I can handle that. But of course, people are all moving around. So the way the door kind of opened out into the rest of the house. So I closed the door behind me so it's not in the way. Flip on the light switch. And it was a typical haunted house, spooky house kind of thing. Just the narrow wooden stairs going up with a single light bulb hanging from exposed rafters. I was like, get out of here. I start walking up the stairs. As I'm walking up the stairs, I can hear like what sounded like footsteps coming down the stairs.
Oh.
I was like, every step I took, clunk, clunk. It's like, okay, it's an echo off of the roof from my own footsteps. I'll stop and the footsteps will stop and I can stop being a big baby. And I stop. I'm now like halfway up the stairs. The footsteps continued to come down the stairs. And I didn't realize until I was kind of thinking about it a little later, as it got by like where I was, I actually kind of moved off to the side. They continued to the very bottom of the stair.
How
of course,
polite of you.
yes. So I want to block the paranormal in their own home. And of course, being the fearless 18-year-old senior in high school, I, of course, ran down the stairs and burst through the doors. Like, there's a thing, and there's a sound, and there's steps, and there was a flight. And the mom who had told me, who just sent me up there like 60 seconds before, she's like, just get the boxes. What are you doing? Why are you running up and down the stairs? She thought it was me going up and down the stairs. She had heard it too. So I just was like weirdly embarrassed. I went up there, there were no boxes. And then I came back and then I was like, remember when you, so then we started sharing stories just between me and mom. She shared a story where she was making a giant pot of chili on the stove, just big, stainless pot. And she was stirring it with a ladle, and she puts it, she had a little paper towel on the counter that she just put the ladle on. And she said the second her hand came away from the ladle just slid across the counter and clunked into the sink. Now, they actually nicknamed the ghost in the house George, just to kind of make it a playful little weird thing, because they never dealt with any kind of malevolent
Nasty.
stuff. It was just trickstery stuff, hiding the keys, knocking stuff off a shelf. And without missing a beat, she just grabs the ladle out and puts it back on the paper towel. She's like, I was using that to, know
George.
Yeah, the George, I guess. But all the girls had a million stories. The dad of the house never experienced anything and thought they were all bananas.
Yep. Interesting. So
that's
you
my
kind of
total paranormal.
That's your thing. Well, you have answered my question really about, I normally ask aliens, fact or fiction, or what do you think? But you've answered it. But feel free to expand if you like. I mean, what's your opinion on aliens, or like with everything that's gone on lately with the Washington Congress having their little meeting and congressional hearing? I mean, still doesn't seem that much has come out of that as yet. Well, at least not for the public. But
Right.
So I'm guessing that you believe in alien aircraft and all that sort of thing. But do tell.
I don't know if they are aliens from another world or another dimension, or if they're here on Earth, or have they always been here? Are they us from the future? A million different things that it could be. But we've got a lot of anecdotal evidence, and a few grainy photos, just like the ghost side, on the cryptid side. We've got a lot of crappy evidence and a ton of stories dating back hundreds and thousands of years for the different disciplines in that. But I don't know where they're from, but certainly people are seeing weird stuff.
Yep.
It is every strange light in the sky a UFO from another planet? No, I don't think so. Should you be critical of any evidence or sighting or anything like that, just so you don't look foolish when of course you probably should, regardless if it's a Bigfoot or if it's a ghost or if it's a UFO. You need to examine it closer and do your due diligence to make sure it wasn't something else you just misidentified, of course. But I do think there's something to it. I'm a big sci-fi nerd too, so of course, I want it all to be real. But it's very simple and very easy to fall into that true believer type of trap of every light in the sky is an alien visitor, and and
everything's conspiracy theory,
every
and everything
twig snap in the woods is a Bigfoot, and every creaky settling board in a house must be a ghost. It's easy to fall into that because you start reading all the stories and talking to people that have had actual experiences and all that stuff, to where some people get lost in it. And it's easy to do. And as far as people actually going to the U.S. Congress and having meetings and things like that. I think that's at the root of a lot of, at least what we have seen of it. I don't necessarily know if David Grush, who was the centerpiece for all of that, if he's being played by somebody else, or actually he may not even be played at all. Well, he's being played for fool, I think. But the big thing is he's just got a bunch of stories. It's not like he's pulling out a notebook full of evidence. It's like, here's all the stuff that says,
here's the secret footage. Here's someone got in and they here's some video. Look, you can clearly see President Clinton and President Trump sitting eating dinner with the alien. It's not a joke. But there's
playing
nothing.
Poker with the Greys, and the Greys are cheating because they're reading their mind. Stuff like that.
But watch this space. One never knows what's going to come out eventually, if anything.
I think what it is, because you have to look at who's surrounding him. And I'm not a fan of some of the people that surround David Grush. And plus, David Grush's story of, I've seen evidence and I've talked to these people. Honestly, I could go back to any random week of programming of the Art Bell Show from 25 years ago and hear the exact same story.
Same stories, yeah.
With this exact same amount of evidence to go along with it to prove it.
So you've got to stay skeptical.
Yeah, at this point in the game, we're past the cool story bro phase of all of this stuff. It's time to, if you're going in front of Congress, you better come with more than just a tall tale. You're gonna need to provide evidence, and so far that evidence has not come up.
What's that old saying? It's time to shit or get off the pot.
Shoot or get up, put up or shut up. Fish or cut bait. I'll
try not to do an animation to that one. And of course, my silly question that everyone looks forward to: boxers, briefs, commando, or as I've learned, boxer briefs.
We had that discussion before. I am a boxer brief guy.
Boxer
combination of both.
You and Kenny Biddle.
Tidy whities are too restrictive, and it helps.
It's not good to let everything. Well, and I'm sorry if I sound very sexist for asking that question, but tough. I'm from an era where I can ask it. Okay. That's my excuse. A bit of fun. So, all right. Well, the other thing that's coming up, obviously, and for you, because you don't have your own channel, so there's nothing that you can sort of advertise there, but you are on other people's channels. So I'm not sure how Sonny is going with the Paranormal Chop Shop, but is he having anything happen coming up soon, or?
He's on a bit of a hiatus at the moment as far as the show goes, probably for a few more weeks anyways. He plans on being back. Family stuff going on. And plus it's just, for whatever reason, it's difficult to get guests on. And, it's fun for us to just be on there and hanging out and telling, stuff, but that's not enough to carry a proper show.
Everyone's busy. Yeah. I've gotten to a point now, I just put it out there to anybody and I'll say, hey, I'm doing a live. If you want to come along and say hello, please do. And if you don't, that's okay too. So, because everyone's just so busy, and I don't know why, but we are. So there you go. But you're a regular on Fridays with me. So that's a good thing for everyone to look forward to. And we're going.
Thank you so much for that, because it's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, it is fun. I like our Fridays, and of course Enzo, for anybody who is interested, Enzo will be the eye candy and comedic relief at my event in July in Virginia City. I couldn't not have Enzo come, because he's my co-host. He's my co-host for the Friday. So yeah, he's part of my family. So he'll be there. And we're looking forward to that. I guess tell everyone what you're looking forward to the most about Virginia City.
Well, it's mostly to hear the history. We had talked earlier about this, that this may just be an American thing too, is there's something alluring about that old West culture that I love the idea of. Not that I've ever wanted to be a cowboy or anything like that, but there's something about those kind of wilder days where it wasn't working at some office or anything like that. It was you made your own life. You made it was a lot more up to you to get things done. And
they bred them tough. If you weren't tough back in those days, you wouldn't survive. None of the kids, a lot of the adults nowadays just wouldn't survive. They'd go back and go, what? Like, what?
This time period sucks. I'm talking into this box and nothing's happening.
Yeah, like they just wouldn't. Like, it's amazing. And of course, Enzo also wants to go and see some of the mine shafts there. So I'm intending
underground. I hear there's a path to the inner world. To a garden.
Oh yeah, my famous Washoe Club adventure. If anyone wants to see that, it's on my channel. I can't remember what I've called it, but it's the Washoe, the Deep and Dark Mysteries Below Washoe Club, or something like that. But I will be going up to the Collar Mine for sure. That's not part of the event because the event's already jam-packed, but I'll take you up to the Collar Mine, and we'll go to the little mine that's in the main street that runs off of I can't remember. Isn't it terrible? It runs that you literally walk into one of the shop fronts, and that's the entrance to a mine. Because I think that's what a lot of people don't realize, that Virginia City sits on top of mines, like shafts.
Right.
Mine shafts.
That was actually going to be one of my questions for any kind of tour. It's like, okay, how extensive are these mines?
Yeah, they're literally all underneath Virginia City, especially where the Mackey Mansion is, for example. They've capped them, like they've filled them in and capped them, but I'm trying to remember what year now. I can't remember off the top of my head exact, but the late 80s or so, one of the mine shafts actually sunk in, and the road in between the Mackey Mansion and the school collapsed, fell in. A couple of cars fell in. So they had to recap it and redo it all. But yeah, God forbid there's ever an earthquake, a proper earthquake there, because I don't know how she'd go. So fingers crossed that never happens. But yeah, well, Enzo will be on the show again Friday, as usual. So tune in for whatever it is Enzo offers up on those days. Usually we try to do something, teach everyone something a little scientific or astronomical. But thank you, Enzo. Thanks for doing this with me. And hey to everybody, hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye.